We don't want to leave anybody behind, right? We use all languages, even sign language, shouldn't we? Because we want communication and information to be accessible to all and inclusive of all. Now, this was not the way I was planning to start my conversation with you this morning, but since I wasn't given a mic around my neck, therefore I have to give one hand of mine busy with a mic. And I won't be able to wheel around if I have to click the pictures. So I will ask somebody to click the pictures on my behalf. I'm usually one of those people who really moves a lot. So you will be seeing me quite static for the simple reason that things are not really inclusive and accessible as I would have wished to. Pick number 1, please. Who would have no, only one. Stop there. Who would have imagined that that little kid who was one of the fastest cyclists in her neighborhood in 20 days due to a very rare tumor that presses on the spine to 2 or 3 children every 1 million would have become paraplegic? And who would have imagined that little child there would have survived and become a woman who enjoys health and well-being? And who would have imagined that one day the little child would have become a person who could talk about the Sustainable Development Goal 3, and who would have imagined that she would have had the possibility to make a difference in the world, talking on behalf of many others like her? Well, the little child is in front of you today. She's a woman, and she's very, very happy and joyful to be here in front of so many eminences and colleagues and new acquaintances as well. Allow me, therefore, to talk about the Sustainable Goal number 3, health, well-being for all at all ages. I would like to engage you in 3 specific things. The first one, to have a global overview of what health and well-being means, also from my personal viewpoint. The second thing I would like to engage you with is to think of what media means, the roots of media, and do we really use media and therefore share public information in the best possible way, making sure that no one is left behind. And the third thing I would like to engage you with is very simple suggestions, hopefully useful for the goal we are aiming at today. I know I have only 10 minutes, even less now, so I'll try to shorten things. I said that I would like to share with you what health means. I would like to benefit of the World Health Organization definition. The World Health Organization says that health is a state of complete physical, mental, I would also add spiritual and social well-being, which is not, therefore, defined by a possible disease or an infirmity. Having said that, here 2 images come to my mind. The first one is, well, my father. And the second one is my mother, because, I think that the right communication when it comes to health and well-being, it starts at home. Now, when I was a child, well, actually not a child any longer, I was studying at the university. I had to endure a very serious operation on my back, and it didn't allow me to sit for about 1 year. So I had to lie on bed until doctors told me that I could be sitting for half an hour, then 1 hour. Finally, when I could sit, for 2 hours in a row, then I asked my father to drive me to university. I had to lie on the car because every single minute was so precious for me to be able to sit in front of retrofessor and give the exam. Next, please. So, well, talking about, well, that's my motto, where there is a will, there is a way. There is a way. And I'm sure that there is a way today, by the end of today, to find solutions to make sure that public information is really accessible and inclusive and supports governments in reaching the goals they have in mind in making sure that the 17 goals are going to be implemented. But coming back here, where there is a will, there is a way. So my father, what did he do for me to have access to that kind of information, the information that books give to you, to be educated? This is not exactly what he did, but I found it on internet, and it resembles what he built, kind of a metal frame with the shape of an L upside down. He put on the top a clear glass, clear plastic pane, so that I could put the books there, and I could read and turn the pages. Now, can you imagine nowadays, with the new technologies, using an iPad and maybe being able to Skype with my professors and being able to give my exams, though staying in bed? Now, that's what I call well-being. My parents, my father, made sure that my spirit was feeling well. Now I'll give you another example. Next, please. Food. I am Italian. Italians speak about food even when they're eating, trust me. So my mother, she knew that for me and my brother was a fundamental to have good nutrition. Biological, healthy, organic food. I was born in the countryside. So, see, parents, as I said, it starts at home, health and well-being. Parents teach us. And if they do not know, through public information, they might be informed through good campaigns what nutrition means. Good nutrition. Because if at home and at school you get the right nutrition, not only you take care of feeling well, your health, so that you have a great foundation when you're an adult to be healthy, hopefully. So, having said this, I would like then to show you an image of what I think is a representation of health and well-being. Next. Now, do they look to you healthy? Do you have the feeling that they are having a life of wellness and well-being? Next. Do you still see them in the same way? Healthy and with the well-being and wellness. So the image has not changed because one moves her body and expresses her body on a wheelchair and the other one by standing, right? Okay, this is the power of media. Depending on how stories, images, news are shared, media can shape the way we look at health and well-being. Media, public information, can help governments to promote their strategies, their policies of health and well-being. Media can remove taboos and stereotypes that otherwise would impact and still do impact negatively the well-being of people and the planet. So I would like then to share with you what is, therefore, the meaning of media. Media, thank you. No pictures now for a moment. Thank you. Otherwise, they keep looking at these ballet dancers. Black, thanks. Okay, media. Media, that's the right pronunciation. Media is the plural of the word medium from Latin. It means any means to communicate: radio, television, newspapers, magazines, internet, mail, email, social media, and it goes on and on. The way we express ourselves with mimics and words, all this actually is a way of communicating. So, are we sure that we use media in the best possible way to make sure that we facilitate the bridge between governments and citizens transforming sometimes very complex information into more simple information that can be easily shared with people when it comes to health and well-being, and vice versa, to make sure that media brings that information, the voice of citizens, to governments. Today, I'm bringing here the voice of billions of people, because the division I have the honor to lead has to deal with poverty, employment, social integration, and inequalities for the following social groups: indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities, youth, older persons, and the family, the world. So are we sure that we are using media in such a way that they can really first assess, together with policymakers, assess the needs of the social groups they want to reach, and then reach those social groups utilizing the means required, the language required for those social groups to understand it? I think of, for instance, internet. Internet is used more and more by young people, but not necessarily it is used by older people. So here we increase the gap of inequalities and of poverty. Is public information made accessible and inclusive to all? Visually impaired persons, hearing impaired persons, people who might have learning disabilities or difficulties, such as those who have dyslexia, or indigenous peoples who might be speaking the language of their tribes, but not necessarily the official language of that country. So now we move to the last point. I have only 20 seconds. I'll try to make it. 193 countries at the United Nations last year have decided and understood that when it comes to well-being and when it comes to health, the health system is not enough. Health and well-being is composed by many dimensions: the social dimension, the economic one, the environmental, the political, the cultural. And all these dimensions are interlinked with poverty, inequalities, nutrition, trade and commerce, urbanization, working environments, financial crisis. The world is changing. Climate change, demographic change, epidemiological change. And I could list more and more. Change is a constant. Are media changing as well to support the policies of governments, to make them reach the public and reach what the public wants and needs the citizens to the governments? Indeed, I think that there are still many challenges, next please, that we have to overcome. You see this gentleman? Are we sure that no one is left behind? No one, even homeless people. I took this picture on the 17th of September. I was coming back home, lovely evening, Upper East Side of Manhattan, and that homeless person was sitting there on the footpath. You see that kind of light there? It was his iPad connected to a public source of electricity and internet. He himself wanted to have access to public information. So how to do it? Next, please. Obstacles, still many. Steps to be climbed, very many, trust me. But I would like to conclude with a sentence of Confucius here, referring to the goal number 3, health and well-being, but it applies to all goals. What I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. What I do, I understand. So all we can do is all we can do. But all we can do is enough. Therefore, let us do it together.
Thank you very much.